Oh my gosh. I had a terrible dream that I had learned a note-taking program for over 30 hours. Welcome back to the fourth chair. Um, I am continuing my journey to creating my next Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And with doing so, oh, good morning. With doing so, I am today, well, last project that I completed was my first project, and that was purely just learning how to work the program Obsidian. And there's a lot of work, too much work, more than any sane person would ever put into learning any program for a hobby. Um, but I think I'm realizing that there's a lot more determination behind this for myself. And I think with that, there's like my first video idea to do is talking about my journey. So talking about the very first step that I took, which would have been learning Obsidian. So the video would probably be packaged as this is how I would do it and cut the time in half, basically, that it took me to learn. Because half of learning Obsidian was finding the resources on how to learn Obsidian. So they're kind of scattered and I was having difficulty. But specifically learning how to use Obsidian for the purposes of writing and facilitating a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So I am done learning Obsidian. I mean, it's always going to be a learning process over time, but for the most part, I think I know everything I need to know about how to use Obsidian efficiently. I am moving on to the next step, which is actually choosing a setting for my Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I did do a bit of reading off of stream so that it would be a lot easier for me to make my decision right now. Um, and just to get a sense for like what I mean, um, how I'm working this campaign, there are a few decisions that I've made so far. But I would like to explain my decisions, why I'm making these decisions, and what those decisions are. So I am sticking with a specific set of rule sets for Dungeons and Dragons, which is the 5.5 materials. I'm not using anything that was produced before 5.5. I'm using the core rulebooks, Dungeon Master, Player's Handbook, and Monster Manual from 5.5, and I'm using any expansions that they have made. The first expansions that came out were the Adventures in Faerun, and then also Heroes of Faerun. So these are all the options that the players are going to have at their disposal, and this is all of the world building that I'm going to have at my disposal. And I don't think I am going to go much farther outside of this. I lied. I think I'm going to go a lot farther than the materials that are covered in this, because this book was like made literally for me. Um, this I like to learn about a world and then write about the world. So when it comes down to it, I I love the fact that they give the world building of Faerun, that there's like five different locations that it expands upon, and gives you as like a sandbox to make your own campaign. The little like it's like a bunch of Lego pieces for me. And it the thing is that they're pretty it's a pretty like broad categories. Like, there's Icewind Dale, which is like a gritty horror, like survival, um, kind of setting. And then there's, the Dalelands, which is like a typical fantasy setting. And then there's Kalimshan, that is, I believe it's Kalimshan, um, that is Arabian Nights kind of vibes, but like, cranked up to 10. And then there's Baldur's Gate, which we've seen a lot of Baldur's Gate already in the past. So there's when making this campaign, my idea is to use this material to make a decision on the setting, and then from there I'm going to decide what materials I'm going to expand that with. Because, I mean, there's only a good like 15 pages, maybe 20 pages devoted to each one. So I would like more materials, and there's more materials out. I'm talking about like reading novels about the location. I'm talking about other source books like Volo's made guide to like anything and everything. Um, so the other thing is I just got I had ordered also with these books the Ravenloft Horrors Within. Um, and this one I'm also using rules or extra um, content that comes in here. These are at the disposals of the characters if they so choose. Um, this is a lot of this is specific to a certain um, setting. I mean, Ravenloft being like an even more step into the horror genre, and paying a lot of homages to it. But um, there's a lot of content in there. I doubt that I'm going to be using a bunch of it, but it's an option. And even for players, I think it's going to be an option to bring aspects of Barovia um, into our campaign. So, I that's how I make my decision. That's how I'm planning to do the whole world building process. I'm going to take what I learn or the bits and pieces that I want to use in my campaign, and I'm going to input them into my database, my vault, for Obsidian, and kind of go from there. When it comes to story, though, I am going to be very much working with the players. The players are the ones who are going to drive the story. I am going to spend extensive time with each individual player before making the character and then playing out their backstory as opposed to just saying their backstory. And then I believe, around, hold on. Around level 3 is when we're going to have all of our players meet or convene. So the main meat of the campaign is going to start. And I have ideas for how the campaign is going to start. I have an intersection for everybody planned out, and I'm super ecstatic about that idea. I'm not going to share too many details of like what I'm actually using because I know that some of the players are going to be listening for the next few streams. But when it comes to like at a certain point, I will start talking about what I plan to do with the campaign. Like, okay, these are the story beats. This is what the characters have decided. These are the twists that I'm going to be building up to. All of that is going to be like imparted to the streams and videos. I will ask my players to not watch anything. That's about it. What else should I cover? I think that's about it. So I have an idea of which location I want to choose, but I would like to do a little bit more research before I actually make the full decision. Because there may be something else that sticks out to me and I might enjoy. So, yeah, it's going to be a player-focused campaign for like probably the first half. I do plan to do this would be the first campaign that we take to level 20. I have played till level 10 before. That is the highest I've gone. That is where we're concluding our current campaign. The thing is that the characters that were made for that, not all of them really stood out to me as characters to make it to beyond level 10. It's just there's I think that they were characters made to learn more about the game and more about the world, and for me to feel out, getting farther in a campaign. But it was a political intrigue in Waterdeep, and it was the ramifications and the aftermath of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And I was able to actually go through and develop all 4 villains as opposed to just one singular villain that you were encouraged to only use. So I want to take this as an adventuring party, an adventuring campaign. So the thing that's difficult about that is like getting the players, like getting the characters together in a meaningful and not just like, all right, I guess we're just traveling together now and we're a party. What should we call ourselves? But like, oh, there needs to be reason for these people to be together. And that's what I'm most excited about writing and figuring out with these players on how that all works out, how that happens, how they find each other. Um, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Um, on top of this, I do plan to invite other people into this world to play concurrently. So I'm thinking of doing like this would be like the consistent campaign that I play probably once a week, or hopefully once a week. I would probably play every other week. But there would be another campaign that I would be playing with on the side, and that's more playing through some source materials like Heroes of the Borderlands, just to play with some other people. Um, but also fill out the world with more characters and upping my knowledge in those locations um, and yeah, filling them out with characters. I want more characters to exist in the world. So um, the other thing I think I want to share is that we're going to be doing EXP. This will also be my first time doing experience for progression and leveling. And that's because it's going to force me to make more encounters and work with making encounters. So um, I also like feel like that kind of progression pushes the story along. And it's a combat system. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is. It gives you all the stuff to revolve around combat. We've done for this last section of the last campaign we did, because it's political intrigue. They've avoided fighting for a majority of the time, mostly just because they're smart. They go and they grab the black staff to help them, the most powerful wizard in the city. It's like, hey, you know what's going on. Come help us with this thing. And it's like, cool. They survive. They're unscathed because the other person took care of the threat. Um, they're being smart. I want to focus on like actually playing D&D and doing combats and making a lot of combats matter. Not making a bunch of dangerous ones, but also I think we need to see some players die as well. Not that I'm trying to make that happen or push it, but it's like if I'm not pushing some boundaries, then the players are not getting better at looking out for things or using their characters to the fullest potential, because hey, just throwing the same spell out is going to work, because it's been working. Um, so yeah, I think that's enough yapping about my ideas. This stream, by the end of it, I will have chosen. Um, I'm just gonna say right now, I'm leaning towards the Dale lands, and that has been re-expanded upon in the Forgotten Realms Adventures in Faerun. Um, a close second might be the um, Moonshae Isles, because the Moonshae Isles is a very whimsical, like fantasy location. It describes it as like almost fairy, but I would need to tone it down a little bit, because it seems like it's a bit too whimsical for my liking. But I also feel bad that Waterdeep, I never really expanded upon it as a magical location, and it really is meant to be like intriguing for every corner being full of, magic and wonder. And I did not do a very good a job about that. So um when it comes to writing the campaign, there's a lot of weaknesses that I have as well, and the goal of being able to cover everything while like recording my whole process is to, find my flaws and lean into those even more so that this campaign is the best that it can be. So, um, all right. When it comes to the stream, I'm going to be reading through some more materials with you guys. I'm going to be making a decision, but before I do that, I have another thing that I plan to do, which is getting another thing progressed on my stream. I'm also learning how to stream in tandem with streaming about making this campaign. And there's one thing that happened. Somebody started commenting on my live stream the other day, and I did not catch it. And they had already left by that time, so I felt bad. So I need to be notified when somebody is commenting, when a comment comes in. So I am going to look up how to do that. And we're going to implement that into the stream from here on out. How to make chat notes, chat messages make noise. Make a noise. OBS. To get a chat message is to make a noise in OBS. The most popular method is to use an overlay or chat client. You can use a customizable chat. All right, I'm going to get rid of this chat. Get rid of this chat. And I'm going to use Streamlabs. How do you delete something? Remove. There we go. Yes, I wish to remove it. Remove. Goodbye, chat, for a moment. Okay. I am going to go to Streamlabs. Dot. I am going to set this up now. Ooh. Yes, please have access. Okay, I agree. Yep. Do I have to have a profile for Streamlabs? I hope not. Let me double check if I have Streamlabs. I'm going to put some background music in. Okay, I do not have a Streamlabs account. Listening to some ambient tavern sounds. Woohoo. I just realized I won't be able to know if someone is commenting. Someone is commenting. Because I'm fixing this up. Moonshay Isles. We want to be from there. I like D&D. Much fun had. Dark Magic. 888. The Bean. The Bean is here. Welcome, Bean. Right now, I am working on getting chat notification sounds. We will see. Create an account. I already have an account. I need to create an account. All right. Oh, I can log in with something. Log in with a platform. YouTube. Probably be smart. Yep. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Aw, thank you for the love. Complete account setup. How old am I? I am 67 years old. What year was I born? That would mean that was born in 1990. Um, log in with Streamlabs ID. Log in with the platform. I just did this. Streamlabs already has access. I know, I just gave it access. Log in, Streamlabs, no. Skip, skip. Skip, skippity do. Oh, is Streamlabs like another OBS? Oh no. That's not what I wanted. Yeah. Yeah. 6.7 is it's a bit too young for me. Okay, editor or recordings? Get help. I don't. What was I thinking? There's got to be like a plugin through OBS that can show a chat, right? Look at this. Settings. Appearance. Okay. Stream. Uh-huh. Put. Audio, video. No. Advanced. General. Video. Recording. Stream delay. Automatic reconnect. Sources. Hockey. Okay. Can you get a chat directly through OBS? Go to settings. Go to stream and connect to your account. Then go to the dock drop down at the top of OBS and select chat. Go to docs. I don't want to docs. That sounds dangerous. Stream idea. Is this a stream idea incoming? Ditch Obsidian and play Mecha Chameleon. Oh my gosh. No, I gotta make progress because I'm gonna be super busy in the next few days and I can't work on the campaign. Extreme elements. Make noise when getting chat. Okay. I'm going to stream elements. I'm going to my dashboard. Ah! Okay, I'm going to Stream tools, overlay. Okay. Add source. Media source? How did I do this before? Browser? No. Media source? Chat? No. Cancel. Yes, I would like to remove it. Add source. Click create or edit existing overlay. Okay, go to Stream Elements dashboard, navigate to streaming tools. My overlays. The blue plus icon on the alerts. Go to alerts and select alert box. Select the setting gear icon next to the specified alert you want. Member alert, subscriber alert, chat, super chat alert, tip alert, purchase alert. Check the blue icon. The setting gear icon is what you want. Under the sound options tab, upload your preferred audio file. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Guess I'm just going to click save. Copy the link. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Browser. So it's chat. Ah. Okay. Well, I tried. I don't know. Maybe say some. Maybe like chat something. And maybe that will do something. Oh, I can just chat myself. Yeah. I'm gonna chat with myself. Chatting with myself. Make noise, maybe? Wow, that does take a long time to show up. Myself. It does not make a noise. But it says if I get a subscriber, it'll make a noise. I think this is meant for Twitch. I'm not going to worry about it anymore because that could take up way more time than I want it to. I'm already 30 minutes in. Yeah. We are going to talk about the Dale lands more. I'm going to turn this down as low as it can go. Yeah, there we go. Just very faint in the background. Cool. Had an almond in my mouth for the past 30 minutes. Okay. So, looking at these locations, I am going to read a bit. I'm going to read aloud. I want to read more about the Dale lands and get an idea. But I don't want to read everything, knowing that it might spoil some things, but I'm going to read the first page again, just because it just seems to be the highest contender. So, the Dale lands are broad forest vales with rolling farmlands, linked by narrow trade roads. Oh, you know what I just realized? I need to change the name of this stream. Choosing the setting. Right now, I'm making a big decision. Where will this campaign take place? I will be deciding from the sorry guys. Locations expanded on in the book. Forgotten Realms. Adventures in Faerun. See. Hopefully there's no spell issues in there. Cool. Oh, I just realized something. Thank you. Just realized something. I don't have the, oh, there you guys are. Cool. Oh, great, now I gotta get the positioning, like, just right. I like how it, like, fades whenever I go to the talking head, and when I'm going away from the talking head. Oh, no, whenever I'm going to the talking head. It just cuts, and then it fades. Yeah, just about. Same. All right. Back to it. I will also be adding the new source book when it comes out. The like Unearthed Arcana, not Unearthed Arcana. What is it? Arcana Unleashed. I'll be adding that. Okay, Chapter 2, the Dale Lands. The Dale Lands are broad forest vales with rolling farmlands linked by narrow trade roads running through beautiful woods, blessed with fertile soil and a temperate climate, but harsh winters. The Dale Lands are the breadbasket of the Heartlands. The independent spirit of Dale folk, balanced with their centuries of cooperation with the elves of Corminthur, have made the Dale Lands the home of many of Faerun's greatest heroes. The oldest Dales were founded over 1,000 years ago by refugees from war-torn regions to the east and south. They found the immense primeval forest of primeval. How do you pronounce this word? I've read it too many times to be upset. Primeval pronunciation.
Primeval.
Primeval. Okay. Primeval. They found the immense primeval forest of Corminthur, home to an ancient elf civilization. Eltergrim, leader of the elves at the time, created the Dales Compact, an agreement that stated in return for promising not to cut deep into the forest, the Dale folk were allowed to settle around the forest edges or in places where the great trees didn't grow. Spellcasters from both sides worked together to raise the standing stones in the center of Corminthur as a symbol of unity. Elves opened the city of Mithranor to the Dale folk, and a golden age flourished for centuries. Okay, so it's saying, hold on, let me finish this section. Now, Mithranor is abandoned, but the Dale folk still keep the Dale Compact. Uh, 11 Dales exist today, each with its own territory, government, or lack thereof, militia, trading pacts, ambitions, and characters. But Dales come and go, their fortunes waxing and waning in the face of sovereign invasion, internal rivalries, and simple bad luck. So, it's stating they found the immense primeval forest of Corminthur. Okay, so there's a forest called Corminthur, home to an ancient elf civilization. So an elf civilization that lives in Corminthur. Home to an ancient elf civilization. Eltergrim, leader of the elves at the time, created the Dales Compact, an agreement that stated in return for promising not to cut deep into the forest, which belonged to them, the Dale folk were allowed to settle around the forest edges, or in places where the great trees didn't grow. Spellcasters from both sides worked together to raise standing stones in the center of Corminthur as a symbol of unity. Elves opened the city of Mithranor to the Dale folk, and a golden age flourished for centuries. Now Mithranor is abandoned, but the Dale folk still keep the Dales Compact. 11 Dales exist today, each with its own territory, government, and militia, trading pacts, ambitions, and characters. But Dales come and go, their fortunes waxing and waning in the face of foreign invasion, and internal rivalries, and simple bad luck. Okay, so I'm going to look at a map. I'm going to pull up a map, actually, because I have D&D Beyond, and I paid for this content. I gave them money. The use of their program. Okay. Rules? No. Library? Yeah, let me go to library. Yeah, I haven't picked any favorites yet. Sure. Okay, Adventures in Faerun. So we are looking at this. Oh, how cool. I'm exactly on the right side and the chat's on the left side. Perfect. It's like my my regular stream talking head. It's got pictures on either side. This is the same picture. All right. So I'm looking at the Dale ends. Let me look at the picture. I want picture. Okay. This is the player's version. Cool. I want the Dungeon Master version. Okay. Okay. So Cormanther. That is this big forest. So there's, I guess, where it like big trees grow, like is a part of like the heart of Cormanther, and what makes up the forest. But then there's smaller trees that the Dales, which I think is as humans, they were allowed to build around it, and they were allowed to also build in some of the forests or even cut down some of the forests that didn't have the big trees. I did say big trees or did it say something else? Set around the forest edges or in places where the great trees didn't grow. The great trees. So we'll learn what the great trees are, I guess. Although it wasn't capitalized, I'm not sure if it's like a proper noun. All right, and then we have um, elves open the city of Mythdraenor to the Dale folk, which is this area, Mythdraenor. So the Dale people were allowed to go in and out as they pleased. It was open to them. The big question is what happened. What happened to Mythdraenor? What happened to the elves living here? I think that will be explored a little bit. Now there's Dale lands surrounding the area. It was really hard for me to locate what the Dale lands look like. Shadowdale is Shadowdale town. It outlines certain dales, and I'm realizing they're just towns. Are they just towns? Let me find another dale. There's got to be something dale over here. Yeah, Harrowdale town. Okay, so they're all towns. Let's find one more. Come on, another dale. Show yourself. Dagger Falls. Am I blind? Can I not see any more dales? Um, I guess there's not much. Um, I will go ahead and just start reading some more. Okay. The Dale Lands campaigns. The Dale Lands host classic fantasy adventures and stories of brave families defending their homes on a dangerous frontier. In the Dale Lands, the ancient elven city of Mythdraenor, filled with danger and mysterious magic, is never far away. Classic fantasy adventure. The Dalelands encourage adventures in the classic heroic fantasy tradition. Here, goblin bandits ride wargs out of the forest to raid villages and towns. Dragons emerge from mountaintops, lairs to hunt for food and plunder. Every village has an inn or tavern where a retired adventurer tells stories about the treasures that got away. Greedy empires threaten the borders. Evil mercenaries scheme in the shadows, and any seller could have a door to the Underdark. A mysterious frontier. Frontiers might seem hard to find in the Forgotten Realms, where every acre of land has been home to multiple civilizations over the millennia. The Dalelands offer can-do folk the opportunity to live in a land with few laws, where self-sufficiency is vital. That's the biggest contrast it's going to be for the players is they've lived in the city where you just can't get away with very much, or if you do try and do something stupid, you are going to feel stupid and you are going to be punished. So, or it's going to bite you in the butt at some point. So, this is going to be completely different where it's you can get away with a bunch of stuff. Nobody's going to enforce a bunch of rules on you because you could just leave town. But immigrants to the Dalelands must build their homes in the shadow of an ancient and primeval forest filled with monsters and long forgotten magic. Life in the Dalelands is hard, but the people here are determined to defend it. Aww. Mithranor. Okay, let's learn about this place. The ancient elven city of Mithranor lies at the heart of the Dalelands. Once a magical metropolis, Mithranor was abandoned centuries ago. It was abandoned. And the magical protection known as the Mythal that lies at its heart is failing. Mithranor is a mega dungeon, an adventure site so large that no single party of adventurers could hope to explore it all. Instead, adventurers gather information on the ruined city, explore a region until resources run out, and then return home to rest and sell their loot to fund their next round of exploration. I'm not going to read that. I'm a Dalan. Dalan? I'm a Dalan? I'm a Dalan. Everybody's a Dalan. Could be from a far off place too, There's always options. People of the Dalelands. Although Dale folk are a diverse lot, and the Dalelands isn't a unified kingdom like Cormyr. Okay. And Sembia. Is Cormyr on here? Cormyr is somewhere completely different, right? Crazy. Let me consult the map. There's Kalimshan. There is the Dalelands somewhere right here, right? Embia, Cormanther, the Dalelands, yeah. You want to be from Canada? That may be arranged. Cormyr. Where are you, Cormyr? Why can't I? Oh, Cormyr. Okay, those are really close by. So I guess those are actual put together locations that are city and enforced with laws or whatnot. So, cities. Ardalin right here sounds like it's a big city of Sembia. This big region. Yuan, that's what I think it is. That's for snake people. That'd be crazy. So, lands isn't a unified kingdom like Cormyr and Sembia. Dale folk share a history. and culture that has remained steady across the centuries. To an outsider, Dale folk seem closed-mouthed, suspicious, and reserved. Until newcomers are identified as friends or foes, Dale folk prefer civil silence to empty pleasantries. However, Dale folk are open and giving, especially in the common defense. Those accepted as friends by Dale folk are expected to contribute to the defense of the community. Life is dangerous out on the Cormanther frontier, and everyone's expected to pull their weight. Okay, so it sounds like the Dale Lands is really right here. This is the Dale Lands. It's this plot of, um, yeah, it's this plot of forest area. Um, Scardale. I just like Harrowdale, Battledale, Mistledale. Yeah, I'm finding them now. Shadowdale. Um, Moonsea Ride, Thunder's Peak. Oh, Deepingdale. Okay, so it encompasses a lot. What's going on there? Featherdale. Okay. There is Tasseldale, Scardale, Featherdale, Harrowdale, Battledale, Mistledale, and Shadowdale, and Deepingdale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, Highdale. Highdale. I thought there was 11. I think there's 11. There's 11 Dales that I'm looking for. Wow. Oh, Arkandale. Yeah. They're so hard to find. Spider Haunt Woods. Ooh, don't go there. Um. Okay, maybe count them again. Highdale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And Daggerdale. 11. Oh my gosh. So what's the difference between Sembia and Dale Lands? I don't get that. If Sembia is like an actual like kingdom. Those accepted as friends by the Dale folk are expected to contribute to the defense of the community. Life is dangerous, yada yada. The land born from unity. The Dale Lands were born out of an agreement between elves of Cormanther and human refugees from the east and south. East and south. So, got it. And this remains a key element of Dale Land's culture. Although most elves have left Cormanther for the remote island of Evermeet. Oh. Although most elves have left Cormanther for the remote island of Evermeet, Dale folk still largely honor the Dale's compact. Interesting. So they were ancient elves in Cormanther. They abandoned their city Mithranor, a very magical-oriented city that had magical protections to it. They left and abandoned it. To the east? No, to the west. Dale folks still largely honor the Dales Compact. So it's like, hey, that's not our land, you know. That's interesting. That's cool. Prior to the establishment of the Dales Compact, refugees from lands torn by war and disaster were desperate for a place to live, and they eagerly agreed to the pact. But elves of Corminthur had a different perspective on the Dales Compact. Okay, they viewed the influx of newcomers to the land surrounding the forest as an inevitability. Thus, the Dales Compact was a means for elves to head off conflict with the Dale folk. Okay, as any such conflict might overwhelm even the magic of Mythdraenor. In the centuries since the creation of the Dales Compact, the tenuous alliance evolved into a true partnership. The Dales folk adherence to the terms of the Dales Compact assuaged the elves' fears of conquest. And in time, the two sides formed a strong alliance. Elves fought alongside human heroes when Mythdraenor fell. Oh, and humans have earned the respect. Elves who remain in Corminthur still work alongside Dalefolk to defend the region against threats. Okay, so it's not entirely like they all abandoned it. It was attacked. They were defending it together. Okay, people of many species. In the years since the Dales Compact was forged, the Dalelands has become home to diverse people. In particular, nomadic halflings known as Lightfoots have embraced the importance of home and family in the Dalelands, moving here in large numbers. Dwarves have old roots in Daggerdale, which lies closest of the Dales to the lost dwarven land of Tethiamar. Tethiamar. Cool. Dwarves of the Bright Blade clan, refugees from Tethiamar, settled in Daggerdale long ago, and spread throughout the Dalelands, founding. Here, you should see me. Daleland's largest town, providing valuable financial lifetime. Wait, trade with the dwarves who live. What in the world? Okay, founding villages like settling in Daggerdale long ago and spread throughout the Dalelands, founding villages like Glen in Mistledale. Trade with dwarves who live deep in the Underdark provides a valuable financial lifeline in the Daleland's largest towns. Highdale's gnomes hid from the eyes of strangers for many centuries, but recently a generation of curious young gnomes ventured out and, with a little ingenuity, rekindled Highdale's old copper mines. This has in turn led to strangers being welcomed into the village of Hinnenvale for the first time. Orcs have lived along the banks of the river Ashaba. River Ashaba. Where's the river Ashaba? Ashaba. Okay, it's right there underneath Shadowdale at the top of the screen. For centuries, fishing, ferrying travelers across the river, and defending their homes. Over the last 2 decades, orcs have increasingly sought their fortune in settlements throughout the Dales, including Shadowdale. The struggling community of Freedale. Freedale? Where's Freedale? I didn't find that one. Highdale, Deepingdale, Tasseldale, Battledale, Featherdale, Scardale, Harrowdale, Mistledale, Shadowdale, Daggerdale, and then Freedale. Where's Freedale? I want to see Freedale. Can I, like... Oh my gosh. Nope, not gonna work. It's gotta be in a place I haven't looked before. The other ones were right in front of my face and I just didn't see them. Freedale is such a funny name. Ah, it's free to anybody. What in the world? Where is this place? Harrowdale? Scardale? Yep. Lone Rock. Come on, be over here or something. Gotta have green leathers. Come on. Oh, don't know where Freedale is. Hmm. This is cool artwork. Hmm. Well, Freedale's on here somewhere. Um, okay. Over the last 2 decades, orcs have increasingly sought their fortune in settlements throughout the Dales, including Shadowdale, the struggling the struggling community of Freedale, and larger Scardale town, where the orc priest Sigora Swordwise maintains a shrine to Tempus. Okay, nice. Um, Bulk of many other species are found in the Dale lands, albeit in small numbers. Um, the land is home to a few dragonborn and tieflings, and it's not unusual for a Goliath to wander down out of the Thunder Peaks, and for Asmar to appear among families of the Dales that are devoted followers of Lathander, Chontia, and other benevolent deities. Ooh. Town and country. Um, Dale folk can be broadly divided into two groups who intermingle. The first group, exemplified by the folk of Battledale and Featherdale, leads a rural lifestyle focused on farming, ranching, and life in the wilderness. For these Dale folk, the only settlement worth visiting is the nearest village, and they know by name everyone who lives within a day's travel. There's two large groups two groups who intermingle. The first group, exemplified by the folk of Battledale and Featherdale, leads a rural lifestyle focused on farming, ranching. Yeah. Okay. The second group is newer, centered around the urban culture found in larger settlements such as Arkenbridge and Scardale Town. Dalefolk in these towns are protected by stout stone walls and can join craft or merchant guilds. Dalefolk from the country and Dalefolk from towns disagree on how to live in the Dalelands. To Dalefolk from the country, townsfolk have given up the solitude, independence, and freedom that brought settlers to the Dalelands in the first place. To Dalefolk from towns, country folk choose to live in hardship, vulnerable to everything from raiders to wanderers, owlbears, while Dale folk from the country and town might not always agree, they come together when danger threatens. After all, they're all Dale folk. Okay. That's pretty interesting. So there's two different types of categories. There's the people who kind of live off grid, and there's people who live on grid. And but they both disagree on like, hey, we should band together because it's dangerous, and other ones are just like, hey, we if we abide by a bunch of rules, we're gonna be put into a box. I don't want to be in a box, and they deal with the danger. So interesting. But they still consider themselves basically brothers in this kind of way. brothers and sisters. The Dale's Council. Each year at midwinter, every Dale sends a delegate to a selected Dale lands town for the Dale's Council. Delegates debate issues affecting the Dales, such as defense, border disputes, resistance to Zentarum or Sembian aggression, trade deals, and matter relating to the Great Forest of Cormanther. Delegates and their staff engage in backroom deals, negotiations, and intrigues, pursuing their personal interests and the interests of their Dales. Understandably enough, you know. Cormanther and Myth Dranner. Walking beneath Cormanther's giant maples and teach me about Sembia. I want to learn about Sembia. What is Sembia? Forgotten Realms. Excuse me. Sembia was a young country of considerable wealth and prosperity, governed by its merchants. It was located on the northwestern coast of the Sea of Fallen Stars in central Faerun, which put it in the path of many trade routes. Although they suffered over a century of subjugation at the hands of the returned Netherese Empire, with only the cities of Hermlepsy. Oops. They once again became wealthy, independent collections of city-states following the second collapse. That was scary. It sounded like someone knocked on my window. Sembians were not particularly warlike, preferring to pursue mercantile endeavors and work as mercenaries or adventurers. Their long tradition of commerce and trade unified Sembia during their entire existence, particularly while the vassal state of Israel. Well, as a vassal state. Okay. Give me map. Parkwood. Okay, so it's like lower. Okay, okay. What cities are a part of it? Sembia was functionally referred to as some cartographers as the lands below the Dales, a term that was popular in the region, with the word below being used to imply that the aesthetics, morals, and sensibilities of Sembiads were beneath those of the inhabitants of Dale lands. Another popular term for Sembia was the land of merchants. From the 10th to the 14th century, Sembia was governed by the Overmaster, a leader who was elected by the nation's merchants' council. As of the 1359 DR, it was illegal for an individual to receive payment for a removal of a spell's effect if they were that spell's caster. Military. During the latter half of the 14th century, the military of Sembia was supplemented by the personal army of Miklos Selkirk, known as the Silver Ravens. Navy and seafaring, I don't care. Society people from Sembia was known as a Sembite and Semite, or a Semite. Sembite was used more commonly in the areas north of Sembia and Dragon Reach, whereas Semite was more common in southern locations. The term Samar was used derisively outside of Sembia to describe ostentatiously wealthy Sembian merchants. By the term, but the term fell out of common usage by the 1370s DR. People of Sembia were natural traders, haughty and sometimes cutthroat. They thoroughly enjoyed any opportunity to make a deal for power and hold onto what they earned. They religiously observed contract laws and always paid their debts with full interest. As a nation, they had a young, aggressive attitude when it came to foreign relations. Unfortunately, the zeal of the nobles turned to intense competition with one another, and they were never truly able to unite under a singular vision of the future. Corruption was rampant in Sambian society, so long as it did not interfere with the business at hand. Shady dealings were celebrated, and the nation exhibited a vague racism, turning away outlanders that looked different than the lighter-skinned families that had long established businesses with the realm. Ooh, way to touch on that. City life dominated the lifestyle of the Semite people. Their culture was seen as superior to those of other cities from across the realms. They did not share the They did not share the lavish lives of other mercantile nations, such as Am in the lands of intrigue, but its abundant wealth attracted food and drink. Economy, those fishing in Sembian waters were required to pay the local authorities. Trade. Sembia did not keep a national trade outfit. Okay, 7 cents. Okay. History. Sembia was originally a colony of distant Chondath, formed in 380 DR with cities of Chondathan and Chonsun Galat, whatever, which eventually became known as Serloon and Selgunt. Respectively, the colonies gained independence in 884. Following the Battle of the Singing Era, the nation Sembia was founded in 913. 913 DR by that guy, the Raven, a human war leader who gathered the command and standing armies to police the roads of the fledgling human territory from the Telkasir of the Elven Court. He formed a government led by the Merchants' Council, who elected an overmaster that served 7-year terms. A civil war was fought, yada yada. The Netherese took advantage of the situation and claimed the realm as a free protectorate. By the year of Blazing Hand, 1380, the Netherese controlled all of Sembia, and within 20 years had fully consolidated it into their empire. In the year of Awakened Sleepers, 1484, DR cracks began to appear in the shroud of darkness that covered Sembia. That was due to the destruction of the Ordulin Maelstrom, which had covered Sembia in darkness since the end of the Twilight War. Oh my gosh. After the fall of Netheril, Sembia regained its independence and swiftly began building itself back up to the economic power it once was. Geographical. This section is stub. You can help by expanding it. Here we go. Settlements. Darylun, the free city of about 40,000. Ordulin, the capital of Sembia. Cool. Seraloon, Seligant, Lasper, and Yuan. Previously a wealthy city, mining city, Yuan was really. In the original Forgotten Realms campaign set, the nation of Sembia was given only minimal description to encourage DMs to develop it themselves. A DM with a campaign city or nation already designed may set the city in the area of Sembia without great difficulty caused by future products setting some epic adventures or great disaster in the same region. Internally, among game designers, Sembia was sometimes informally referred to as the land of rich fat merchants. That's funny. That's great. Okay. Appearances. Dungeon number 14. Novels. Tamora's Luck. Sembia, Gateway of the Realms. Mistral of the Night. Mistress of the Night. Mistral. Dragon Strummer's Wager. Okay. Comics, The Grand Tour, Dungeons and Forgotten Realms. Video games, referenced only. Okay. And then organized playlist. Cool. Okay, so it's a region, has a bunch of cities. Darylin. I'm curious if Darylin's in here too. Do not see Darylin. I also get the. idea that this area to the right is not part of the Dale lands. I still wish I knew where Freedale was. Oh, there's Freedale. I see Freedale now. Oh my gosh, it was not one of the big ones. It was a small one. It is a village. Oh, how cute. In Glen. I love the city of Glen, or the village of Glen. Okay. All right, we're going to read just a little bit more. And I'm going to talk about what I think. Corminthur and Mithranor. Walking beneath Corminthur's giant maples and towering oaks, explorers enter an ancient, verdant, and mysterious world. The borders of Corminthur have shrunken slightly over the years, as Dale folk families have cut back the forest to make room for farms, ranches, and towns, but Corminthur remains one of the mightiest forests in Faerun. And at the forest's heart lies the elven cities of Mithranor. The elven city of Mithranor. Corminthur. Most of the elves who once lived in Corminthur left long ago. The majority of those who remain reside in the forest settlements of Somberholm and Tangled Trees. Okay, Somberholm. Let's find it. Tangled Trees. That is a ruins. They live in the ruins. What are these locations again? Somber Homes or Semberholm. Semberholm, come on. Semberholm? Come on. Semberholm. Okay, that's by Lake Sember. Cool. In the Daleland. So, an entangled tree, which is northeast or southeast from Mithranor. Cool. Both of which are like ruins. So there's elves living there. Cool. Most of the elves who once lived in Corminthur left long ago. The majority of those who remain reside in the forest settlements of Semberholm and Tangled Trees. In the last decade or so, refugees from the second fall of Mithranor, that sucks, of Mithranor have also settled in Somberholm. Lake Sember, the beautiful freshwater lake called Lake Sember in southern Corminthur, is sacred to the elves of the forest. Guards from Semberholm protect the lake, and few outsiders are permitted to visit. More than 1,000 years ago, sea elves, chained in Mordenkanon's presence, monsters of the multiverse, settled Lake Sember. Sea elves settled Lake Sember, building a fabulous city of towers beneath its surface. Legends hold that the elves of Mithranor buried their dead in the cold waters of Lake Sember, but no outsiders have verified these stories, and the elves say nothing. Interesting. A mystery. For decades, Mounder's Road. For centuries, Mounder, god of corruption and rot, was thought dead, but about 150 years ago, the hero known as Elias accidentally awoke the deity, who plowed a course of devastation toward the ruin of Mithranor. Maunder intended to absorb the uncontrolled magic within the elven city, but Alias and her allies defeated him. The path of destruction the deity carved through Corminthur is now known as Mounder's Road. For decades, Mounder's stinking corpse rotted in the forest, but this god of rot was born again in the Second Sundering. Now Mounder's corrupting presence pervades the Dalelands, particularly in places such as the Rotting Gorge in Deepingdale. The high hill where the corpse once lay in is now empty, but the road of the woods around it are filled with strange fungi, loathsome oozes, and plant monsters, including spores of Maunder. Ooh. It's like, oh, here's an adventure that could take place in that kind of region. Let's see what anyways, okay, that's cool. Somber home. Towering trees fed by Lake Sember's pure water soar high above the city. Of Semberholm, creating a cathedral-like retreat for those elves who remain in Corminthor. Limestone caves beneath the city provide access to Lake Sember, and serve as an emergency redoubt and storage area. Isilville Miratur, who led the restoration of Mithranor a century ago, and her husband, a resurrected hero named Flar Elruth, a medium lawful good questing knight. Rule Semberholm, but the second fall of Mithranor has darkened their spirits. Ilsevel and Flar have abandoned all hope of returning to Mithranor, and they have resigned themselves to lingering in Semberholm, perpetually mourning the lost glory of past ages. Ooh, Standing Stones, where the elves of Corminthor and refugees from war-torn lands formed the Dales Compact. They erected the Standing Stone in the forest to commemorate the pact. Elven runes winding around the glossy gray stone detail in formation of the Dales Compact and its rules. The stone magically repairs any damage to itself, so the runes are still readable. The Standing Stone is one of the most important monuments in Dale land culture. Many Dale folk take a pilgrimage to the stone to read its inscription, but despite roads that lead through Corminthor, the journey to the Standing Stones can be perilous. The travelers must be prepared to face bugbears, gnolls, wild animals, ettercaps, and trolls. Ooh, my. Tangled trees. The other ruins that contain some elves, the last of the elves. High above Corminthor's floor spreads a network of interlocking bridges, wooden platforms, and tree forts surrounded by nets of strong but delicate rope. This is the settlement of Tangled Trees, which is home to both Corminthor and Dalefolk scouts. In the warmer months, the inhabitants of Tangled Trees venture into the forest. They patrol the roads, trails, and paths that crisscross through the woods, and every year at least one group travels to Mithranor to inspect the borders of the ancient city and look for threats that might have emerged there. As winter draws near, the expedition parties return to Tangled Tree to rest and prepare for the year to come. Mithranor. I'm going to read the first paragraph of Mithranor. Mithranor was once the greatest city in Faerun, a magical metropolis constructed by elves but home to people of all species, invited into Corminthor on the establishment of the Dales Compact. However, Mithranor fell 800 years ago, torn by internal strife, racked by magical experiments gone awry, and finally invaded by an army of fiends. A little over a century ago, Corminthor elves reopened Mithranor and restored the mythal that protected the city. Mithranor stood on the threshold of a golden age, but instead war with Shadow Var led to the flying city of Foltenthar crashing into the city in 1487. The mythal failed again, and the wreckage of Foltenthar made the ruins of Mithranor more dangerous and unpredictable than ever. The damage was so extensive that no one knows whether the mythal can be repaired again. The city can be divided into two halves now. Into those specifics. Interesting. 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 I like it. I like it a lot. Um, and then it just goes into the descriptions of all of these dales. Um, Arkandale, Battledale, Daggerdale, Deepingdale, Featherdale, Harrowdale, Highdale, Mistledale, Scardale, Scardale Town, Shadowdale, and Shadowdale Town, and Tesseldale. Interesting. Lots and lots to read. If I were to get into all that. So that would be all of the, like, I could learn the relationships between these towns, answer questions. That's the main thing. It's just like being able to ask questions about these locations. Like if a player, even before and while they're creating their character, is just like, hey, I'm thinking of like making a character with like that's like a fighter, and but I want him to be like a person that like he was, off grid and protecting his family and stuff. Like perfect, we could pick like from a certain area that they're more likely to feature off grid kind of families. Someone else is like, no, I want to be like a person who's studying in a certain subject, like under a coach for like cooking or something. It's like, okay, we can find a village that you're a part of. I would just want to know certain one of their options, and help them. So my goal would be to learn more about this location. So I want to be able to do my due diligence because I'm like loving the Dale lands, but um, I want to give a chance to some other locations so that I'm not like, you know, like oh, I'm dead set or something. Yeah, let me go ahead and look at some of the other locations we chosen from. Icewind Dale, I'm just gonna go ahead and say no to. There's not a location I I am personally interested in, but I'm not looking at doing an entire campaign there. And I'll even say I'm not even interested in doing like half a campaign there. Dale lands look like it could possibly take place over an entire campaign. The Dale lands, the Icewind Dale would need to be like touched on, or like you spend a moment there. I don't have a, I can't picture, a bunch of directions that I can go with Icewind Dale. Just because it's cold. There's some restrictions that I have to abide by with the thought process of it being cold, like constantly. But I love the Icewind Dale trilogy. I think they did a really good job with that. I think we're looking at maybe a story that takes place over a longer period than the Icewind Dale trilogy. So, anyways, Callum Shan. Oh my gosh, Artemis and Trary is on the cover art for this. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and go to the next chapter. Let's go to the next chapter. Callum Shan. I'm not going to read the book this time. I'm going to read off of here. I'm not going to read as far into this as the Daylands just because I'm also sensing I'm not too fond of this, but I could see myself. I could see myself looking into this a bit more. Kalimshan, the Land of Wonders, is a rich realm that hides many secrets and fosters competing powers. Ancient lore lies buried here. Genie clans scheme and sabotage each other. Merchants, assassins, monsters, ancient relics, and cabals are as integral to Kalimshan today as they are entwined in its history. Here, adventurers protect caravans traveling across the desert, quest for ancient mysteries, seek fame and fortune, collaborate with genies, and master potent magic. Kalimshan is surrounded on three sides by water, and relies on naval power for trade and security. Though desert takes up a third of its territory, Kalimshan has many valuable resources. The forest of Myrrh grows cedar trees for shipbuilding. Quarries in the Marching Mountains mine precious stones. The seas provide pearls, seafood, and trade. At the center of everything is a fabulous city, Kalimport, where people the world over come seeking rare goods. Have they still not fixed it? Like, I could have swore they where people the world over come seeking rare goods. It's a typo. For sure. Wealth seeking where people the world over come seeking. Oh, it's not. It's not a typo. I'm getting it now. Where people the world over come seeking rare goods, well, because it's going into a list. I get it now. World over comes seeking rare goods, wealth, prestige, and opportunity. Kalimport's gleaming temples attract countless worshippers and pilgrims, and its libraries are among the greatest in Faerun. While the highest authority within Kalimshan is the ruling sultan, the most respected profession is that of a clever merchant. Kalimshan relies on trade and innovation to maintain its status as one of the wealthiest and most inspiring nations in Faerun. Magic is ever present in Kalimshan, and many citizens know a spell or two. Genies have influenced life in Kalimshan for centuries, and people dwelling in the desert, steppes, forests, and mountains of Kalimshan rely on magical and elemental magic to survive. Legends of genies further Kalimshan's reputation as land of wishes and miracles. Kalimshan's recent embrace of mechanical wonders, first imported from the island nation of Latan and innovated on by Kalashite artificers and crafters, has transformed life in Kalimport. Made of porcelain, the lightest woods, delicate metal, and canvas, these devices are used for everything from transportation and war to civil engineering and household chores. Interesting. They allow Kalimport and other cities to solve magical problems without relying on Genie's magic. Well, whether visitors take the long trek across the Kalim Desert or sail into Kalimport's walled harbor, they inevitably end up in the city's bazaars. There, the breezy melodic tongue of Al- Alzedo intermingles with languages from across the realms. Dragonborn, gnomes, humans, and other barter over wondrous and mundane wares, negotiating the price of services big and small, licit and illicit. Artemis Entreri. Who's this person? Darren Kaya leads Artemis Entreri in an escape from an Ifrit of the Kalam Desert. Crazy. Grab it, please. Right. Some cold water. Air conditioner's working again. My landlord got it fixed. And it is fantastic. But it can never be too cold, you know? Use Kalimshan to run adventures in desert setting to tell stories of powerful genies vying against each other for dominance and to explore the streets of Kalimport. It sounds like it's like Arabian Nights, you know, it's Jafar going for the Sultan position, and I'm not as interested in that. But that doesn't mean it can't be manipulated into a story that I'm interested in. We're interested in telling. OW Landlord, yeah. Yeah. No, they're great. Desert Adventures. The Kalam Desert offers endless adventure in a challenging environment where heroes face blue dragons, gnolls, mummies, sphinxes, yuan-ti, and of course, genies. In the desert, heavy armor becomes a liability. Sandstorms strike without warning, and starvation and thirst are constant dangers. I I could see myself running a campaign here though. That's the thing. It's just like it's a setting that I think is out of my comfort zone, but I think I would love that because it pushes me. There's like I've used goblins before. I've used kobolds before. And all I can see myself doing is using those again for the next campaign, and I'm kind of sick of them. This place like offers a lot more in terms of variety to be used. So I would be very interested in what what stories we could tell, but more importantly, like what like um, freshness it could feel as well. I could see myself doing this as a second campaign. So past this first one. Um, the four competing uh, genie courts, the dominant Kalimshan outside that dominate Kalimshan outside Kalimport provide fantastic magic and intrigue. Elder genies with centuries old grudges and whimsical desires act as patrons for adventurers who must carefully balance conflicting loyalties in between exploration expeditions that take them all over Kalimshan, a city of wonders. Kalimport is the seat of the Sultan's power, a cultural melting pot, and a nexus for trade. Adventurers, thieves, scholars, shopkeepers, and nobles rub elbows in the Grand Bazaar. 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 Darien Kaya. Darien Kaya is an elderly rock gnome and the greatest inventor in the history of Kalimshan. Darien designed and built the first mechanical wonders, and her many rivals still imitate her designs. She is also a masterful painter, sculptor, physician, alchemist, musician, and poet. She lives in Kalimport, and is always eager to meet adventurers and send them on various errands. So that's who Darien is. Oh, the rock gnome right here. That's really cool. Oh my gosh, that's who Elias is in the other one. It gave like a little excerpt about Elias, and Elias is in that picture of the Zorn, the giant Zorn. Elias and her loyal friend Dragonbait defeated Maunder long ago, but not forever. Ah, I love that. I love that you give art and then you give like an idea of who, like you give explanations for who these people are. That's fantastic. Uh, Oseus serve as crucial gathering places for Osis serve as crucial gathering places for Kalashite of all kinds. That's cool art. I love that. People of Kalimshan. The history of Kalimshan reaches back almost 10,000 years. Oh. Epic poems describe the ancient forest of Keltmere, inhabited by elves and giants, and detail how humans and dwarves found their way into this region. These tales recount the arrival of the rise of the genies, describing their amazing feats, their many depredations, and their eventual fall. Kalimshan's diverse population includes Asmar, dwarves, elves, genies, humans, and tieflings. In recent decades, dragonborn and gnomes have become especially common and risen to influential positions in Kalanport and the genie courts. Kalashite typically wear light, loose-fitting clothes with a flowering headscarf, held in place with a leather cord or decorative headband. This distinctive style protects the wearer from Kalamshan's hot, arid environment. Kalashites keep a traditional curved dagger in their belt for its utility and defense. The ornamentation and quality of the dagger, as well as how it is worn, indicates the wearer's status and position. Interesting. So they all have daggers on them. That's supposed to. Okay. I like that idea that you have a status symbol carried with you. Um, how you get one is probably more interesting. So, um, Kalashites work hard to eventually work less, and they go to great lengths to secure comfort and relaxation. But while Kalamshan is entering a new era of prosperity, not all Kalashites are wealthy. Many beggars in the cities go ignored by bustling Kalashites seeking their own prosperity. Kalashites often say, "Fools fall the hardest, the wise stand up again." The people of Kalamshan are wary of neighboring realms such as Tethir. Kalashites consider them failed imitators of Kalamshan's glory. Kalashites appreciate the power and significance of other realms, but even the great city of Waterdeep is a newcomer compared to Kalamshan's long history. Ooh, it's like, yeah, good job, little bro. Okay. Hospitality is important in Kalimshan, a tradition as important as any religious rite. Born from the need to survive in the harsh desert, hospitality ensures a traveler can expect food, drink, and shelter from the host in exchange for providing company in an isolated environment. Hosts prepare kethi, a hot beverage brewed from ground beans and bastic cactus, and a delicacy made of the native Calum cactus. However, the code of hospitality also implies guests should refrain from access, and hospitality technically extends only to the home, tent, or camp. Wise guests refrain from impolite behavior and don't take advantage of their hosts. They know a troublemaking guest can be targeted for retribution as soon as they're outside of the tent flap. Okay, key terms. Alzhedo. I love this. You're gonna give me like a tutorial on how to read certain these things. Alzedo, traditional language of Kalimshan. Bastic cactus, delicacy made from the Kalim cactus. Dra- Drudak, small neighborhood within a Saban. Okay, tell me what a Saban is. Walled, gated district within a larger city ward. Got it. Druzier, government administrator who manages a Drudach. What is a Drudach? Small neighborhood. Oh, okay, okay. Kathia. Strong hot drink brewed from beans. Konduk. Small walled market found in a Saban. Okay. Kochar. Kalashite nomads from the steppes. Uh, Naloha. No, Naloha. Kalimshan's navy. Sabadlad, ruler of a Sapad, and then Saban. Saban, walled gated district within a larger city ward. Okay, district. So a Saban is a district within a large city. And Sabadlad, ruler of the Sabadlad. And then Durazir, government administrator who manages a Durach in the small neighborhood within a Saban. So there's hierarchies. The city, the Saban, and then a Durach. Sil Patch, the former title of Kalimshan's ruler. and Zerafi, Kalimshan's elite force of spellcasting warriors riding flying carpets. That's that's so funny. I love that. Kochar. Much of Kalashite culture. I'm not going to read anymore. I have decided I'm not doing this. But I am intrigued, much more than the other locations. I will keep this in mind, but I'm going to read about the Moonshay Isles next. The Moonshay Isles. The Moonshay Isles are realms of ancient magic, fierce storms, and bold heroes, where druids safeguard the land and fae lurk in every forest glen. The Moonshays include 7 major islands and over 100 smaller ones, and a variety of cultures call these isles home. The story of the Moonshays tells of people coming together to protect their homes, their family, and the sacred earth. Traditionally, this unity came about only when the inhabitants were confronted with overwhelming danger, and that accord was purchased at great cost. People here revere the Earth Mother, an ambient embodiment of nature. The Earth Mother reveals her power at moon wells, the sacred spring of natural magic found on the larger moonshays. Druids tend the moon wells, assisted by bards, rangers, and other heroes with a connection to nature or fey magic. The heart of the Earth Mother's power lies in Mylarch Vale, at the center of the island of Gwyneth, the most magical place in the Moonshays. Oh. The Kendrick dynasty ruled the Isles without rival until High King Darid Kendrick's reign, when 2 foreign powers invaded. The Archfey High Lady Ordalf arrived from the Feywild and claimed Gwyneth. The Fey that dwelled there became her subjects. Ooh. At the same time, the nation of Am swept into the Moonshays, laying claim to the realm's valuable natural resources. The simultaneous invasion shattered Darid's authority. Oh, poor guy. Wow, I drink so loud. Tragedy struck when Darid's son, Oarn, was imprisoned by Am and later died during an escape attempt. High Lady Ordaf sympathized with Darid's grief, uh, imagining the loss of her own son, Prince Ariathi. The 2 nobles allied together against Am. After the war, Prince Ariathi married Darid's daughter, Terralyn, their daughter, both High King and High Lady. For many, the hope of a united Moonchase rests on her. Okay, so invading people come in. The original Moonchase people are like, oh crap, this sucks. At the same time, Am comes in, and Am sucks as well. Am kills the Darid's son, Oarn, and basically the other people who came in were like, oh man, I really feel for you. I'm sorry. This really sucks. I'm sorry. Let's have our kids marry. And their kid, right? Yeah, Prince had married Darid's daughter, Terralyn. Their daughter, Caitlin Kendrick. Okay, so yeah, so that they like kind of like decided to work together instead of being take over one by the other. And so the union of these two are hinging on Caitlin Dendrick, is their heir of both High King and High Lady. For many, the hope of the United Moonshays rests on her, because it's like, oh, two superpowers live in this area, and they married the families, and now they're expecting the young one to um, grow up and take charge. Caitlin? Caitlin, yep. Caitlin Kendrick. Princess Caitlin Kendrick sails her wind's gift through magical Moonshay Isle. So that's the daughter. That's the granddaughter. How neat. Thank you for telling me. Moonshay's campaign. Characters visit the Moonshay Isles for fairy tale adventures, seafaring epics, and stories for protecting nature from exploitation and defilement. Fairy tales. Fae coexist with the people of the Moonshays. This might mean welcoming a diminutive pixie into your home. Lest it bedevil you with pranks. Bringing gifts from sprites so they'll let you hunt in their forest, or asking the local hag for a favor. The heroes of these tales are known for their wit and charm rather than their fighting skill, making these adventures perfect for young players or those who enjoy solving problems through roleplay, humor, and guile. I don't know. I like this. I like this. I like it a lot. I like it in the same way that I like Calimshan as like a out of my comfort zone kind of location. Seafaring is another beast in its own, and it's like, yeah, you need a ship. Like, um, yeah, like is that would be a big proponent to this campaign. A big proponent to this campaign, and I don't think we're looking at making seafaring a main staple of the campaign. Um, yeah, I'm interested in it. I just don't know if I can jump into it. Eco fantasy, an insidious curse called the Rusting Plagues, the Moonshays, born from rapacious rapacious invaders and a vampire's dying words. The rusting transforms verdant wilderness into metallic scrap, people into constructs, and moon wells into pits of stinking oil. The Moonshays inspire stories about heroes who respect nature, attempt to restore it, and fight to preserve it. Princess Caitlin Kendrick. Yeah. The heir to the throne of both High King Dared Kendrick and High Lady Ordalf. Caitlin is a bold, curious, adventurous young woman, comfortable among Fae and folk alike. She understands she's expected to unite the Moonshays and lead the nation while she loves her two families and the Moonshays. She represents that resents that she has no say in her own destiny. This resentment manifests when Caitlin disobeys her parents, shrieks responsibility, and reveals with Fae pranksters and revels with Fae pranksters instead of attending court. Wow. Who are these guys? Moonwells are a center of worship for people throughout the Moonshays. Oh, so they're at a moonwell. I like that. You know, there's like scattered important locations that are similar but may have different functions, or they're to the criteria of who want to use them in their campaign. And there's also like a threat that's been introduced that it's like, okay, there's rust coming here. You don't want rust. Rust is bad. As the first settlers of the Moonshays, giants established the kingdom of Osteria. Elves followed along after Astoria's collapse, inviting creatures from the Feywild to join them. Eventually, humans, dwarves, and others followed suit of the varied cultures that now these islands call all these islands home. The most prominent are the F folk, Norlanders, Fey, and
Giants. Who the heck are the F folk?
Giants. Who the heck are the F folk? Norlanders, Fey, and Giants? Who the heck are the F folk? Norlanders, Fey, and Giants? Who the heck are the F folk? Norlanders, Fey, and Giants? Who the heck are the F folk? Norlanders, Fey, and Giants? Who the heck are the F folk? and Norlanders. Folk and Norlanders. The two prem- preeminent, preeminent human cultures in the Moonshae Isles are Folk and Norlanders. Despite past wars between the two sides, Folk and Norlanders now coexist peacefully among the Moonshaes. Folk. The humans of the southern Moonshae Islands call themselves Folk, a peaceful but proud people. They show their respect for the land through their worship of the Earth Mother and nature god. Industrious and curious, folk value laws, hard work, and education. They farm, herd sheep, and hunt in lowlands, and they form law courts, and militias for mutual defense. The folk navigate the isles in sturdy vessels built for fishing and hauling cargo. The Kendrick family is folk and has ruled the Moonshaes for over a century. Lesser noble families hold land on Alarn, Gwyneth, Moray, and Snowdown. Because these knights and barons each control only a small castle in nearby towns or village, petty feuds over land rights and old grudges occur regularly. High King Kendrick tries to keep his lords in line through a system of financial rewards, tax penalties, and land grants. The folk perform rites to placate the local fae, leaving pails of milk on the back porch, hanging bells around their homes, or reciting rhymes that name and flatter the fae while politely asking them to leave. The people of Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate dismiss these practices as quaint superstitions. These traditions have allowed the folk to coexist with fae. Now, Norlanders. Norland culture was born on the island of Ruthium, hundreds of miles north to the Moonshaes. Settlers reached the Moonshaes centuries ago, making home on Norland, Omen's Island, and many smaller islands. Norlander longships are feared among the Sword Coast for their speed and their crew's reputation for sudden, bloodthirsty raids. Norlanders revere a bold and cunning hero god named Volkar. These, whose exploits include slaying monsters, winning fantastic treasures, and performing feats of physical prowess. Volkar was also a good father and husband, a wise and generous ruler, and a protector of these people. Norlanders admire these traits, but they have a cynical view of life and humanity. They believe the world is tragic and that all good things are temporary. Norlanders know every great hall will one day go up in flames and every hero will die, but they laugh in the face of fate and live well so they'll be remembered long past their deaths. Norlanders in the Moonshaes have rulers known as Jarls, typically one to each island. These Jarls have sworn oaths of loyalty to the High King Kendrick. A unified people. Not gonna read that. I I think I'm there. I think I'm there. I think I'm there. I think there's not much more to say. I I really do like Kalimshan, and I do like the Moonshaes, and I would be ecstatic to even do a campaign that may cross between both. Um, but as it stands, I am going to be introducing one person new to D&D completely. I'm also going to be playing with a new player for the first time in like a full-fledged campaign, but they are not. They haven't played with me a whole lot, and they also haven't played in a campaign very much. They've probably DM'd more than they've played. Um, So, for the purposes of that, I think solely, um, making a fantasy character for Dungeons and Dragons, the easiest way to interpret that is to think of the normal fantasy settings that they've been introduced to. And so far, these other ones, although fantastical and great, I think would be a great stepping it would be a great like end goal to like, all right, let's prepare for a more interesting campaign or something. And that's just the Dalelands is a great stepping point for having a basic campaign. It'll be complex, but it will also be it'll be complex, but it will be more focused on the characters. And if we're focused on characters, like we need to have some standard for this for the players to really grasp onto. And if I do something that's completely like, hey, I know you've heard Dungeons and Dragons, I know you're thinking fantasy and stuff. You're right, it is fantasy, but how about we do an Arabian Night setting? Um, what if we did a whimsical Feywild campaign? Um, I think concerning the players, the Dale Lands is the best choice. Um, and I'm all here for it. I love it. I think it's gonna be great. It is the thing about the Dale Lands that's a bit different than the Sword Coast. The Sword Coast is like multiple cities that are in an allegiance with each other. It is a frontier, you know. The Dale Lands, I get the sense that it's a little bit more varied. They don't sound like large cities as big as the Sword Coast, but they do sound big, and it sounds like a lot more opinionated people, you know? Like they're the country folk or something, you know? It's like they've lived in these lands the longest and they have standards that they want to live by. It's scaring me. It's like I think it's somebody's knocking on my window um every few minutes, but the fact that it's happening consistently makes me think there's something that's happening or something. Anyways, um the Dale lands for sure. My idea from here is to learn about the Dale lands as much as I can. I'm gonna use ChatGPT for a second. Not in the way that you think. Okay. I want to ask ChatGPT. I am working on a new D&D campaign, and I want it to take place in the Forgotten Realm settings. I would more specifically like it to take place in the Dale. That means I want or this will be a home brewed campaign that takes place there. I want to learn as much as I possibly can about the Dale. Please give me a list of online resources or books that have come out, detailing the Dale lands or stories that take place in the Dale lands, so I can as much as possible. This is one of the best regions in all. Sure, yeah. Be my friend. Okay. The Dalelands are where Ed Greenwood originally set many of his earliest Forgotten Realms stories before the setting was ever published. Because of that, the area received an incredible amount of attention during first and especially second edition. My, uh, in my opinion, yeah, you're a robot. Um, since you've told me before that you, yeah, okay. Okay, the Dalelands. This is the Dalelands 1993. This is the must read. I'm going to put together. You know what? Let's open up the Obsidian Vault. I'm going to keep it on me for a second in case I need to pull up any. Actually, no. I'm going to switch to this. Forgotten Realms. Okay. Let's do a new note. What to do next. Need to order. Let's do task list. Order materials. D&D research on the Dale. As you read, add information into the Vault database. Okay. I'm not looking to do absolutely everything, but I do want to do enough. And I think that what's introduced in this book will be more than enough. But I would like other material on hand, just so that I could reference things and whatnot. So, go to add the books. Gotta get rid of this. Okay. The Dale Lands. Oh, snap. Look at that. Ain't that a book? $48. I love that though. Yeah, the Dale Lands 1993. I'm just gonna put that in there. Something that I need. Let's look at the other ones, okay? Politics, government, yada. Volo's Guide to the Dale Lands in 1996. Volo's Guide to the Dale Lands. That's a must read too. Cool, cool, cool. What else? What else? Forgotten Realms campaign setting 2E revised. Even though it covers the whole realms, it spends a surprising amount of time on Coromir. Oh, that's useful. Dalelands, Moonsea, Zentarum, and Mithranor. Love it. Which are all connected. Excuse me. The Dales and the Elven Court, Coromir. Yeah. Okay. Sure. We'll take that. And show this. Cormanthier, Empire of Elves. Why? Because almost every mystery in Dayland traces back to ancient Cormanthier. You'll learn Mithranor, Elven history, lost magic. Okay, let's see what that is. Empire of the Elves. Interesting. Excuse me. Wow. Love that. That is also a great resource. It seems like it touches on a lot of what I've read so far. Ooh. What is the last one? Oh, there's a bunch of books, okay. Lost Empires of Faerun. Netherese ruins, ancient magic, hidden kingdoms, and buried artifacts, campaign ideas. Many forgotten ruins throughout the Dalelands originate here. It's the third edition. Okay. These aren't Dalelands books specifically, but they greatly expand on surrounding regions. The Moonsea. Okay. These are the Daleland's greatest political threats. You'll understand this in term operation, trade invasions, and military movements. Faiths and avatars. The Dales are deeply religious. The book explains temples, clergy, holy days, churches, regional faiths. Faiths and avatars. Interesting. B Moon Sea. Priest avatars. Nethril Empire of Magic. Just gonna trust it. Elminster and Mythdraenor. More on Mythdraenor and Elminster. Yeah, I don't know much about Elminster, surprisingly, and I'd like to know more. Grand History of the Realm, one of the best lore books ever printed. It organizes thousands of years of history into one timeline. Perfect for understanding why events happen. The sad fact is I'm looking at buying some more. I like all of the resources and all the information is online. It's on the wikis, but to actually read it and go through it and experience it through the years is also another thing. And it could take me months, but I'm not looking at actually doing this for months. I'm looking at doing this for a time. And even while the campaign's going on, I'll be learning more. Adventure set in the Dalelands. Dale lands. Resources. Cool. Secondary sources. Ventures. Does that mean that there was a campaign adventure in Faerun that they failed to keep it from getting destroyed. That Myth Draenor was an adventure where you could attempt to save the city, but it just doesn't work out. It kind of sucks if that's the case. Novels. These won't function like source books, but they'll teach you how the Dalelands feel. Yeah. Novels. Just add them. Elminster series. Okay. Finder Stone trilogy, especially Azerbond. Much of it occurs around the Dalelands. Probably not interesting. Coromir trilogy, not set in the Dales but nearby. Excellent for understanding regional politics. That might be useful to me. I just had an idea. That would be pretty crazy for the campaign. And I don't think it would be like a huge change, but I think that it could be very interesting. It would change a few ideas that I already have, but um Because a lot of these resources are about like the history that's happened in the lands and shaped it, so it's important for me to know. That's something the Dales would know. Dalenites, whatever. But what if you took place the campaign took place in the history? That would be pretty cool. Dungeon Magazine Adventures. There are numerous official. Yeah, marriage. Given your previous work building intricate with oddity campaigns with interconnected piece of politics, factions, and loading mysteries, I think the Dales will play to your strengths. The net region is less about sprawling cities and more about independent communities, balancing freedom against threats like the Zentarum, ancient ruins of Corvinther, hidden Netherese relics, and the ever-present influence of Mithranor. It naturally supports the kind of slow burn, faction driven storytelling you enjoy. That's creepy. ChatGPT, I've talked to it enough about some of my other stuff. That's creepy. I'd also be happy to put together a Dale Lands Master Bible, a 100+ page campaign reference organized by region, history, faction, gods, trade, major NPCs, timeline, rumors, adventure hooks, an easy to use document that would let you absorb decades of lore without constantly jumping between books. That would be crazy if you could do that. And I may attempt to see what that does, but in my experience, ChatGPT does not get ChatGPT is not very good at gathering large swaths of information. Uh-huh. 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 What the world? So, okay. Boromir trilogy. I'm interested to see what that is. Boromir trilogy. Or Boromir. Boromir. Enough. Next. Beyond the high road. On the death of the dragon. Agreement and Troy Denning. All right. Yep. Dayland resources. Yeah, that is what I'm going to do. All right. I am probably going to record myself separately ordering some of these things, some of these resources. I need to pick maybe just 5 of them and then slowly work through them and take notes on them. So I'm not gonna. I'll have to just be absorbing this stuff on my own time because I can't really. Um, I don't know. I can't really. I don't know. This could be my like side leisurely reading, and I'll just take notes on every single thing. That'd be cool. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, but we're going in the Daylands for sure. That's our direction. Um, pick 5 resources. Resources to order them, read them in my free time. I think I'll order these things. I'll record myself separately ordering these things, and then I'll be reading them on my own time. I'll have a notebook with me that I can write in. Then I'll be translating that notebook, or even I might even write it into the vault and be I just have notes that are compiled about each resource that I'm reading and parsing through what information I actually want to add to my database of information. Because there's the database that has all of the, like specific like items or how mechanics work, and that's all downloaded on here. There's not a lot of world building related resources in there. So that's all stuff that I have to be writing in myself. So I also can't just like choose everything. So I have to choose specific things. And I think I want like 3 that touch on the Dale lands directly, 2 that touch on the surrounding areas. Yeah. What I've loved to do, and what I did for like the Waterdeep Dragon heist, I would look at some of the major nobles that live in the city, and see like, oh, they were introduced like 40 or 50, sometimes even 70 years ago, and it's like, all right, that family would probably still have nobility, but who is the person currently holding that? So it's like, okay, let me give them a kid, and then let me give those kids a kid, and that's the ones that the players interact with. So I've had to do some like adding stuff, but at least I can like still have the history of the parents and stuff. But I think moreover, I need location kind of information. So I think the next time I stream, whatever that may be, um, uh, next stream, talk about resources purchased, and then talk about process for data entry. Yeah. And then the Forgotten Realms, Adventures in Faerun. All of that has to go in there. So that is going to be very interesting. Because the data entry has to be locations, NPCs, and the histories that are written in their descriptions. That's got to be it. Items, you know? That's all I'm working on. That'll be good. That'll be good. All right. I am headed off. I've streamed for 2.5 hours talking about the Dalelands. I'm choosing that for my location, for the location for our next campaign. I will be able to communicate this with my players. I think I'll even talk about process for data entry. I think I want to learn a little bit before I talk to the players. So next is just going to be reading and learning as much as I can about the world. And I think when it comes to inputting all the information I have into this, yeah. I think we're going to start with working. I'm just going to be on stream and I'm going to start doing all the data entries for this stuff. So, putting all of the information about the Dalelands, reading it, and inputting it in here. That'll be pretty big. And more than likely, my players will not be allowed to watch that, as to not want to give away too much. Yeah. It's going to be fun. Well, thank you for stopping in, if you did stop in for a second. Thank you to my one player who's been a constant in the stream, but I'm headed to bed. I'm tired. And this is the fun part. This is the fun part. I have a lot of work coming up in the next 2 weeks. So like I feel like the most amount of time I'm gonna have, like I'm gonna be ordering stuff and I'm probably gonna be reading it in my free time, but I'm not gonna have very much free time. But the next few streams I'll be able to just read and input the stuff. I won't necessarily like yeah. I won't necessarily be able to read and input all of my other stuff in there yet. Add Dale Lands group. Okay, yeah. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool. Oh, and maps. Maps. Come on, pen, start working. Yeah. Cool. All right. I will see myself